So I would love to know, obviously, seeing as like you yourself at the beginning, like would have been one of those people in the categories that couldn't get into jobs, and obviously probably seeing clients and going for interviews and seeing the people that don't do that well. What's one or two things, and I'll love some insights on like what people should do, but like what are the two red flags that are kind of like red flag to a bull when you see people go into interviews that you're like, oh, maybe at least one of those two things, like don't do that. And that's where you're kind of holding yourself back.
Well, a good indicator to figure out, are you doing something right or wrong is, and I feel like this, the quote of like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's so true with job searching, where I've had clients tell me, I've been job searching for over a year. I've applied to over 300 jobs and I've had maybe 3 to 4 interviews. And one of them offered me a job and it was less than what I was making now. So that's a huge red flag. If you don't even need to get to 300 applications. If you're applying to, 20, 25, and you haven't received at least 3 to 4 interviews at that point, then there's something wrong with your resume. It doesn't mean that you don't have a good skill set or background. It's almost like looking at the data. There's something wrong with your resume. Either you're not standing out from the competition, or it's not getting seen, or it's just too generic and cliche where kind of people just gloss over it. So figure out what's wrong. You don't have to get to the 300 a year into job searching to figure that out. And then overall, like as a foundation, start looking at what is everyone else doing in their job search and how can you stand out and do things differently. And, when kind of like to your point, when you said, well, what about interviews? Like, how do you know, like, I'm sure there's some telltale signs there that you can tell. And yes, what I've seen is a lot of people try to wing through their interviews when they get asked, tell me about yourself. And they just say like, maybe, I'll just wing it or I'll know what to say once I get there. And no, that's not the case. I promise you, you're not going to figure out all the right words. You're not going to say all the right things. So really prepare for the expected, but also prepare for the unexpected. Like even in marketing, I'm sure that, there's always this foundation. It's customer or the stage of awareness. Is there a person or prospect aware? Are they pain aware? Are they solution aware? Do we need to educate them? So they are either going to like land in one of these stages. Same thing with questions like during the interview process. Eventually, like they just want to know, are you teachable? Are you going to be able to do the work and understand and be able to take onus of it? And are you a good person to work with? Like that's the bottom line. And figure out like, what are they really asking with their question? So when they ask you, tell me a little bit more about your weakness. They're not trying to, kind of like tear you apart right in front, like during the interview process. They're really asking, are you self-aware of what you're not good at? And what do you do about it? Do you just do nothing and just say, well, that's the way I was born and that's just the way it is? Or are you more of a person saying, I know I'm not good at this and I know it's important for my job, so I'm going to invest and find ways on how I can progress and get better? That's the end point. That's what it is with interview. People make it so complex and we get so nervous. But because we also, or a lot of people just don't prepare for, basic common interview questions we all know are going to be asked.
Yeah, that's so important. And I'd love to take one step back, because obviously you mentioned to get to the interview first, like you've still got to get your resume through the door to get that call. Is there something like, if I just held up a resume right now, is there something where you could be like, bang, straight away, something is wrong? Like what are some of the big red flags that you see people do these days that might, kind of stand out like a sore thumb?
So for an HR person, they probably spend 6 to 8 seconds on your resume. They're just they have so many applicants. And for every one job posting, there's an average of 250 people applying to that one job. So it's literally glossing over, does this stand out? Nope, tossing it over. And the biggest mistake I see people is they don't create a summary at the beginning of the resume. And I know there's different trains of thoughts, but at the end of the day, let's connect the dots to the reader because they don't know you at that point in time. They're going through a lot of resumes. So let's find your market differentiator, something that's going to hook them and, get them to read your resume. And then, like I said, connect the dots. So for example, if you were, a person that has a background in sales and they're applying for a marketing role, at first glance, I'm like, why are you applying to a marketing role when you have only a sales background? But if we dig deeper, sales, marketing is part of the sales process. You need to attract, people that are in that buying, maybe awareness stage, and then take them through the pipeline and they eventually go through the sales process. So if we're able to pull out those transferable skills, knowing, I know what customer pains are, I know, how to hook them, I know how to uncover pains and challenges that's going to attract the right prospects, then all of a sudden I can see why you're applying for the marketing role, because you already have a lot of these marketable transferable skills. So let's make it so easy for the reader that in 6 to 8 seconds, they can say, I can see Cam will be a really great person for marketing role, especially with his background in sales. And right now he's actually is better than all the other candidates, because most of our candidates are coming only for marketing roles, but we actually will love for someone that can speak both sales and marketing and bridge those two situations and even make our marketing even stronger. So all of a sudden you're standing out from all the rest, even though you might have never really had a job or a role within marketing itself.